So in earlier slides, we talked about how tricksters serve a general sociological function in that they teach about the need to obey, and they teach about the necessity of submitting to authority. But another way of looking at this, and again, I'm using some examples from modern culture here, another example of this is that tricksters ultimately reinforce the rules by breaking them. So they teach that sometimes it's necessary to break the rules in order to understand why the rules are important in the first place. And there are a couple of ways I think that we can look at this. Deadpool is a really great example. Deadpool is a character who is clearly a trickster. He's funny and he breaks the rules and he doesn't act like normal superheroes do. But one way in which he is a normal superhero is that he punishes people who are even worse than he is. And he does so violently and also irreverently. And this is a reminder that at times it's necessary to change. Society has to change and people have to change, and old rules may not necessarily apply in the same way that they did. For example, the rules that you learn as children don't apply in the same way once you're an adult, and your job and responsibility is to enforce the rules. So the rules that a child obeys are different than the rules that a father or a mother has to obey. Tricksters also acknowledge that sometimes change happens in society and the things that were a part of society have to go away. One example from American history is slavery. Slavery was a legal policy enforced at the federal level with the Constitution, as well as at state levels. And Americans came to a point in their history where they began to realize that the practice of slavery was unnatural and inhumane and should not be the law. It shouldn't be legal. And so the long road to fight slavery begins as early as the 18th century. And it's not really until the mid-19th century and the middle of the Civil War that enslaved people were freed. And then, of course, the 13th Amendment passed just after the Civil War ended, which mandates that at the federal level. So we go from slavery being a legal practice to slavery ending, being abolished. And that's an example of how sometimes those rules have to be broken. At the same time, rules have to be broken at times in stories so that people understand that the consequences of breaking rules are really, really disastrous. And I think that's kind of what you see with some of the tricksters in superhero movies. And Killmonger in Black Panther is a really great example of that. He can't get away with breaking the rules. Ultimately, in the movie, he dies because of his rule breaking. And in doing so, his trickery and then his death allows Wakanda and Black Panther to grow and move in a different path. And so the kind of change that Killmonger represents is the kind of change that all societies have to confront from time to time if they're going to continue to grow and develop and evolve.